Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a somber episode of Movie and a Haunt. I'm RJ.
I'm Paige. Why are we somber?
Because over the past week, I've been looking at fun facts for this movie. Nothing I read was fun. Usually when a movie sucks, I can find one thing. Like, someone will be like, oh, this one person's good. Or this one bit of the movie's good. Nothing.
Great.
Nothing.
Awesome.
This has not happened since Hellraiser Bloodlines, where like there's been zero. Also, they said when Carol comes into this movie, that's when it goes down a cliff.
Oh, that's really disappointing.
Like, she's awful in this movie.
Wow.
But supposedly she did not want to do this.
I wonder why. I mean, obviously you sign up for the money, but
Speaking of money, however, I will acknowledge this is one of those movies where we're going to talk about it, and I have some fun facts that I'm going to lead you into it with. But first, let's talk about this trailer, and more specifically, when this trailer first came out, because we have a personal story from it. When this trailer first came out, you sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't like give me a like, oh, this looks good. You just sent me the trailer. And I remember my initial response was, something stinks here. Something's off. And you were like, I thought it looked good. Why? And I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like they're trying to, like, usually when you try that hard in the trailer, it says something about the quality of your movie. Especially when they were like, by the way, I'm just going to acknowledge this right now. If part of your marketing is we're releasing on October 13th, red flag.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a major red flag. But over time, it started to win me over a little bit. And then you waned and you were like, I don't know. Something here smells weird.
So it just kept like ebbing and flowing in our minds. For the trailer, what I'm going to say is I liked the fun remix of the original theme song. And at the end, they did the flash editing like they did in the original trailer of The Exorcist. Other than that, nothing else. So what does that say? That says that the elements of the original Exorcist in this trailer is what I liked, and that's it.
I have a fear with this movie because, like you've heard in my breakdown in the last episode, this movie's 111 minutes. It's a long movie.
Yeah.
But the last movie was 122 minutes, I believe. But it was really good. I feel like this movie is going to try doing what it did, where you were eventually going to lead to the exorcism. But as the last movie was able to make it very interesting to watch, this movie's going to be very boring to watch during these days.
Until we get to the Exorcist.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like, the best I could put it is, like, if I looked at the Wikipedia right now, and if it said something along the lines of, like, these two go in a forest and then come back 3 days later, if that's the sentence, to me, what I would read is they go into a forest, 20 minutes are going to pass of these two families having a breakdown in, like, a fucking living room, and then magically they're going to appear, and that's going to take 20 minutes of this movie up.
And that is exactly what's going to happen, I promise you.
Because the best thing about the last movie, about Exorcist, was when you explained everything that was going on, if you had to write a sentence for each kind of like major thing or each thing that was a little bit interesting that went on, you would probably make a 2.5, 3 paragraph, synopsis. You could probably do that with one sentence per big thing, which when your movie's over 2 hours, I'm cool with that because you made 3 paragraphs. I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to be able to describe this movie in 3 sentences.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it's going to feel like it's a lot of hot air. They're writing on, you're here because you like the original, so here's some little tidbits here and there that are going to make it feel like the original. And I don't know, I feel like there's going to be a lot of missed hits. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that it's somewhat enjoyable. I'm not looking for a 10 out of 10 or anything like that. That's so hard to do. I'm looking at least for maybe a 4.5.
I have no hope for this movie for one reason. Its director.
Who is it?
It's the guy who did the most recent Halloween trilogy. And I will openly say this. when they're like, oh, the original 2018 one was good, that was a fluke. He has now proven that is a fluke movie.
Yeah, they get worse and worse.
When we inevitably watch Halloween 4, he just ripped off Halloween 4. That was all he did.
Yeah.
He just took a Halloween movie that was regarded as good and then just put Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
Yeah.
He did this movie. This movie's supposed to be the beginning of a trilogy.
No, shut up.
The next movie is supposed to be called Deceiver. And he just got fired a month ago.
From the movie?
From the movie.
For what?
Well, sorry. He left.
For what?
But he just left.
They're gonna
Like,
claim creative differences.
Yeah, but it's gonna be, dude, this movie fucking sucked and it bombed. You wanna know why it really bombed? Here's why. Hey Paige, how much money do you think they paid for the rights to do The Exorcist? It's not, I will notice right now, it's not part of the $30 million budget. The $30 million budget was just for the movie.
Okay.
This is a totally separate thing.
I'm gonna say 85 million.
What if I told you it was $400 million?
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Blumhouse and Universal paid $400 million
For Exorcist.
for the rights to use The Exorcist.
For how do you know? Does it say for how long they have the rights?
I think they just have the rights now.
Wow.
They have the rights to use it.
Wow.
Which, here's the thing. On paper, sounds like a great deal. Because if you look at just the first movie, let's not even talk about the other 4 that came out over time. Just the first movie. It's a $1 billion franchise over time.
We talked about this in the last episode.
Yeah. Like, with, replays, all this stuff, it's a $1 billion franchise. So getting all the rights to use it for $400 million sounds like a steal. But it's only a steal if the movie's good.
Right. Okay. We should probably stop here because we're like guessing and all this, and we should just watch it and then we'll come back.
However, I just do want to note one thing I will praise this movie for. So, they originally wanted to get Linda Blair back. And they showed her the script and they let her read it and she read it, but she was like, I don't want to come back. Mainly because, and I don't think we really went into it last episode, that movie had a fucked up filming.
Oh, God, yeah.
Especially for her.
I think even in the second one and maybe the third one, she didn't have a good time either.
Yeah. They promised her it would be better.
Yeah.
They always make a promise.
Of course they do.
But in this movie, she did come back as an off-screen supervisor to make sure children were safe at all times.
That is good. Okay, that is good.
And I was like, that is smart because she knows what will screw a child up because she went through this movie. She went through the stuff that these children are going to go through. Bringing her in to be that supervisor off screen to kind of be like,
that's really good.
I will give them
I'll
praise.
respect that. That's for sure. No matter what, that's a good move.
And I hope, like, it sounds like they're going to continue doing these movies. At least because it's 30 mil and made 100 and something, like 27 mil.
They're gonna try to make their money
It made
back.
enough.
Yeah.
If she is brought on for every movie just behind the scenes as that supervisor, go for it.
Yeah.
It seems like Carol is probably not going to be coming back from what I've heard from just like her role in the movie. But we're going to go watch it. I promise. I make one promise right now. We are going to watch the beginning and we are going to watch the ending. What we do in the middle is up to the movie.
I hope it's better than we expect. That's all I'm going to say.
Very rarely do we watch a movie that has like a 22% rotten rate. And that's elite level. That's elite.
Well,
be funny. Also, might I add, I just want to note one last thing. It was especially in the trailer when you first sent it to me. This is a very weird cast of characters. Like the people they casted. Because you have like the dude from Hamilton, I believe, Leslie Odom Jr. was in.
Idea.
So I think he was like possibly in Hamilton. Then you have Jennifer Nettles, which is Sugarland. You have I don't know how old she is now. Carol, like her actress, I don't know how old she is now because I think she was in her 40s in the original movie. So you have like just a weird cast of people. You have like musicians and actors, and then you have children. And I have a sneaking suspicion the children are going to be the best part of this movie, acting wise.
I hope so.
I'm very interested with this cast to see how they play off each other, because on paper,
It's a
this
clusterfuck.
should be a mess. This is like that movie with Tina Fey. You saw it. It's like Haunting in.
Oh, The Haunting in Venice.
Yes,
yeah.
that cast. That was a confusing cast.
It was, but it was okay. That was a fine movie.
This reminds me of that. It's like what something here is stinky.
All right. Well, let's check it out and see how this goes. We'll be right back.
BRB. Okay, we're back. I'm like just kind of hoping that through discussing this movie, I'll be able to form my opinion, because right now, I'm going to be honest, we both watched it like 10 minutes ago. I can't remember it.
I was just about to say that. I meant to say that before we started recording again. I was going to be like, I just want to let you know, I don't remember anything.
I don't remember a lick of what happened in this movie.
That's bad, right?
That's impressive. I would acknowledge this. That's very impressive. By the way, I just want to say, because we can't escape Hellraiser, I just want to note, David Gordon Green is supposedly directing multiple episodes of the Hellraiser TV show.
Stop it. Stop it.
HBO. I'm not lying on that one. I just looked up his profile. We can't escape.
You're telling me we're going to have to watch that?
Are we going to watch an 8-episode TV? Are we going to have 8 hours of Hellraiser?
Or we watch it and then we just discuss the entirety of it.
Oh, God, I feel like we need to get like a hotel or an Airbnb
I know,
just to process that.
I couldn't do that. Anyways, back to the Exorcist.
You know what? Here's what we can do. We can watch the first episode, the last episode.
We wouldn't miss anything.
You won't. Either way, this movie, I'm just going to call it the David Gordon Green special now, I guess.
Yeah.
Because all his movies, he had one fluke, like I mentioned earlier, and it was just a ripoff of Halloween 4. And then all his movies have sucked. Like, I'm not even speaking like subjectively,
No.
like objectively, they've been bad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Let's start from the top.
I was going to say, let's discuss this and maybe we can form our opinions. And I love how, like, right before we started recording this episode, I was like, oh, let's change the format and not go through the movie bit by bit.
But we kind of have to.
And
right
this
now.
movie, I'm like, I have to go through
Yeah,
it bit
because
by
I don't
bit because
remember
I
shit.
can't remember shit. All right. Let's talk about the beginning of the movie and how within literally around 7 minutes, I already did not like this movie.
Yeah.
This movie starts and we get a nice little... We get introduced to our main character and his wife, who is soon to be dead. It was a nice beginning. She gets her feet spat on. You know what? False. It's not that I don't remember anything. It's just watching her get a huge ass loogie just lodged, it's just on her feet. It's branded. Either way, we have and this will be a common factor throughout the entire movie, no matter what, when this comes in. The movie's gonna suck and you are going to be taken out of it, even if you're in it for like maybe 5 seconds. We get a shitty VFX earthquake.
It was bad.
I will let you know, out of all the VFX in this movie, though, this one was probably the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna try and fight you like
No.
I don't know. The smoke fighting at the end was
No,
that's
what I
dumbest
immediately
shit.
thought of, and I'm like, no, that was horrible.
That was god awful.
But yeah, so
That was like they did one render pass and they were like, sure.
that's all we can afford.
So basically, all this, when I say camera shake, when I say earthquake, I mean camera shake. It's just someone's running around with a camera. So many crash zooms in this entire movie, might I add. So many crash zooms, so many like shots where they shift focus.
Yeah.
But you sit there and you're like, you didn't. You know what? I will acknowledge this right now. David Gordon Green is probably great for a Hellraiser series because this is the same shit we complained about in Hellraiser, where like the camera work made no fucking sense.
He'll fit right in,
and he fits it.
He'll fit right in.
Oh god, you know what? I'm probably just gonna get frustrated a lot because it would be different if this movie was like Hellraiser 4, where we watched it and then lost our will to live. This movie was worse because we watched it in the entire time instead of being like this. By the way, this movie sucks, said multiple times.
Yeah.
By both the parties here. But I just remember it was bad, but then it was also really bad because every few seconds you were questioning choices like why? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Why is everything just you chose the worst decision?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
And then by the end of the movie, I'm just frustrated because I was like, why did you choose people who have no chemistry? Why are you choosing to do writing that's like exposition and characters are talking kind of on top of each other or they're responding very inorganically according to like how a conversation should be going? Why is the children the best actors in this movie? Why did you choose VFX? Just why on that one? Seriously?
The subtitle of
why
this
did you
movie-
make this?
Yeah, I was just about to say the subtitle of this movie is why did we do this?
You know, by the way, this movie did it did the thing. It did the thing. It said its name in the movie.
Yeah,
Believer.
At
It
the
did the
end,
thing.
I was like, "Fuck!"
It did the thing, and then it even did the thing even more because it let you know what the sequel was going to be.
Yeah,
It's a
it did.
Deceiver.
So,
Okay. Either way, there's an earthquake.
Yeah.
This mother was an icon. She walked an entire city. And only at the end, she was like, my feet hurt.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lay down. It's like, yeah, girl, you're about to pop.
The stairs fall in on her. Quite literally, rubble is on top of her. And somehow, the child does not die when literal rubble is on the stomach. And then basically they say you have to choose. Mother, child.
At this point in the movie,
You have to choose. They tell the husband.
At this point in the movie, we believe we are given the assumption that he chose the child.
Yes. And then begin Exorcist Believer. Now, let's compare this in conjunction with the first 10 minutes. By the way, I was going to note this. David Gordon Green doesn't have original ideas. From what I'm seeing in these horror movies, he doesn't have original ideas. He just copies the formula from all the other movies.
Absolutely.
This movie was equal to the 10-minute beginning of the original Exorcist.
Explain.
Well, it was supposed to be the cold opening. This was like in his eyes. This was his. This was like, you know, his moment to have that beginning, and I feel like he takes everything at such a surface level, and just makes it Hollywood. The best thing about the original 10 minutes of Exorcist is it felt like a 10-minute independent movie. It felt very separated, and it was very interesting because there was no talking. It was just all suspense. It was all set up to get to like this final, very powerful shot of him and the Pazuzu statue.
Also, the music plays a really big role
Yes.
in that first 10 minutes. The acting, the editing.
Well, it's because there's no talking. You can't.
Exactly. You need
something. You can't have silence.
Correct. And in comparison, this is like you guys can't see it, but I was nodding my head along with everything that Ryan said. It's just so Hollywood. And
Especially the disaster movie part.
Yeah. I felt like I was watching, which I'm scared is going to suck, but then I hope it's so campy that it's going to be amazing. The new Twister. I'm scared that the new Twister movie is going to be like this, where it's just so much CGI that it looks horrible.
with that movie, I don't know if I'll be able to watch it because like the original Twister was my favorite movie. As a
God,
kid.
the original
I
Twister's
loved it.
amazing.
So I'm like, I don't. Even if it's campy, I don't think I'll love it.
Oh,
because
really?
I'm so in love with the original.
Oh, I hope that's not the case. Anyways,
Yeah.
let's get through it. So the kids, the girls are doing.
By the way, I just want to note one thing. My favorite line in this movie was the wife. She was like, "Look at this bowl." Like the person selling on the streets was like, "Look at this bowl. It's beautiful." And the wife goes, "You're beautiful. No, thank you."
No, she was amazing. I loved her. I wish we had
loved
more
her
of her.
so much. She had so much sass. I was like,
I love her.
I hope you're in this movie for more than 10 minutes. You could kill Leslie Odom Jr.'s character.
Yeah, really.
Honestly, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the good things in this movie. Before we talk about the bad, let's talk about the good. The mother was good. The two children were good. Was she voodoo or was she what religion was she supposed to represent?
I'm not entirely sure. They didn't really specify. It is I believe, like Haitian descent pagan
Yes.
religion. They didn't.
Because she knew the Bible.
Well, they do. They do.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. It had to be some form
Right.
of a religion where
I don't want to speculate and then be wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But she was great.
She was
Loved
awesome.
her character.
And the way what she was doing was really cool too.
And the nurse.
She was fine. She started to lose me at the end.
Same. At the end, I didn't like her, but up until the end, she was kind of the only thing saving some scenes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Outside of that, nothing else here really works.
The music?
Especially
When they used it.
I would like to compliment the music, but the thing was they just made like 3 remixes of the song.
Yeah.
The theme song. Like they didn't actually make a full score.
Oh,
there.
no,
I was like,
100%.
I love this.
No.
It was like you guys remade a very iconic song.
I liked the remix and they hardly used it until the end, which kind of sucked. What else did we say that we liked? I think that's it. We said the music and the kids were great, and that was it.
You know what I hated?
Oh, okay, we're going into the cons now.
One of the things I hated, it annoyed me very much. I hated that this movie was like, show demons, show just montage of demons. I was like,
We don't need that.
that's not Exorcist. It shows me that, literally, like I said, director, the writer, because he was part of everything, so he had like full fucking creative say in this shit. He takes everything at surface level and doesn't dig any deeper. So he's like, oh, it's about demons? Demons. Show demons. Let it be just a fucking Marilyn Manson music video at the end.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, God. All right, let's just...
Yeah, let me power through it.
Let's
The girls get up to girl things where they're being teenagers. They go out into the woods. They tell their other friend, hey, if my parents call, we're at your house studying. And they went out into the woods to...
I mean, we do get that nice beginning between him and Angela.
Agreed.
Like when they're making breakfast and they kind of do the hide and seek thing real quick.
Yeah. That's just to establish relationship.
And this is also where we establish the nurse as neighbor who's angry about trash cans.
Right.
And this is also where we establish the scarf that has more character than most characters in this movie.
Yeah. They take said scarf into the woods and
They don't.
Yes, they do.
The scarf is in his car.
She took the scarf.
Remember? Well, no, the scarf was in his car when he came home.
Oh, then I'm not sure.
Yeah. I know, right? This whole movie makes sense.
Yeah, really. Because she said I took the scarf as a way to connect to mom when they're in the woods.
I here's the thing. I know. I know.
I don't
she
understand.
Said that. But then also 5 minutes prior, where he's going back home, the scarf is in the car.
Okay. Anyways, they're going to commune with her mother. The girl, what's her name?
Okay, so Angela is
Catherine.
the one that's the single
Catherine.
child, and Catherine is the one with siblings.
Catherine is some sort of Christian. I'm gonna say probably a Baptist of some sort, maybe Presbyterian.
Her dad. I just want to talk about her parents real quick. Wow. Wow. Her mom, Jennifer Nettles, I would say it, she was not offensive.
No, she wasn't.
But she was essentially like, bam, non-factor.
Yeah.
Her dad, honestly, him having 2 seconds of screen time was 2 seconds more than I wanted to see him in this movie.
And I know you're not supposed to like him. He's, a a thorn in everyone's side. That's the whole point. You're not supposed to have everyone who follows the rules here. But he was just annoying. It wasn't even like, oh yeah, he's kind of antagonistic. No, he was just annoying.
I think it was because he had like size 8 feet. Seriously, when they did the cut to the feet, I was like, his feet are tiny.
Baby feet.
Literally. By the way, like you said, they go in and they find a hole in the ground.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tunnel type of thing.
And I don't know if you don't really watch stuff on the internet, so I'm pretty sure you have not seen the one, like, it was like a semi-viral video. It was like 47, it was semi-viral. It's like 47 minutes.
Oh my God.
Either way, it begins with going in a hole in a forest and ends with person dead.
Oh.
It's a story, by the way. It's not true.
Right.
It's not a true story. But hole in the ground in the forest, that's man-made.
Right.
Like, it's not like a little
Like
hole.
natural.
It's like, yeah. Don't go in those.
Just don't do it. Why would you do
However, I will acknowledge, I do like at the end of the movie when Catherine gets taken in she gets dragged to hell. Speaking of movies we have to watch, Drag Me to Hell. Yep.
Good one.
I liked that where she gets dragged in is the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool. That, like, technically they're both still stuck in like the tunnel in some way.
Right. I think I know you said that the mother really didn't have much factor, but her analysis of the girls going to kind of like a portal to hell for 3 days and then walking on hell because their feet were so burnt and blistered. She was right. I think she was right.
She was the plot. The best way I can put it is like, the movie doesn't have the plot, the characters are the plot here.
Yeah, that's
so
so
like
true.
She was the plot, and then Chris comes in like midway through, and then she's like the plot. She's like, she has, the best way I could put it, she has a monologue. By the way, this is one of the most, like, last episode we praised Chris. We made fun of her because she was a little, she made some questionable decisions throughout the movie. But we liked her. Mm-hmm. We understood. Mm-hmm. Like, we were like, this decision was questionable, but we get it. She had a full-ass monologue, and you and I talked on the side screen, looking at the camera for the entire monologue. And then when I mentioned it about, like, we just talked through this entire monologue, you were like, yeah, because we don't care what she just said.
Which is terrible, because I did like her in this movie. Ellen is 91 years old when they made this movie. Or at least
honestly,
in 2023.
she was not walking like she was 91.
No, she looked great.
Very good step.
She looked so good. I know you said people said they had an issue with her character. I did not.
I did.
I think
at least I had an issue with what they gave. When I go, there was so many unnatural parts of the conversation. It was Chris.
No, that's where I was getting at. Is I think that the director, which also wrote some of the movie, was involved, didn't know how to handle her character and was like, hey, we got her back. Great. Let's put her in there and let's have her do some exposition and then do like a pseudo exorcist in the fucking bedroom, which she never would do because she apparently studied many types of different exorcists for years and has a book and all that shit. She would never have fucking done that. Ever.
It was written in to get her in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, it would have been just as easy for them to just, I don't know, find a news article and just go, okay, she went through the same shit. I'm going to go talk to her.
Yeah, and that's it. And then we sit down like we did in her main home, and she tells everything.
Way too many windows.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's over by the water. And she tells us her story, and she's like, this is what you got to do. And then they go and do it, and then we don't need to see her again.
It's true. And you could have still had the whole thing with Reagan.
Absolutely.
Showing up at the end. She just could have showed up at the house.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
But like you said, the kids... Also, I called it. Can we just mention how I called it in the opening of our episode, where I went, they're going to go missing, and then we're going to have like 20 minutes of bullshit of them like sitting on the couch and doing great dumb shit, and then magically the kids are just going to fucking reappear.
Yeah, it was literally like 20 minutes, because the first 10 minutes was the cold opening, plus like we get to see Angela and Victor establish their relationship. Then they go missing for 20 minutes, and apparently it was 3 days. So,
but the best part was they go missing, and then Jennifer Nettles' character is like a total bitch.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I didn't even know you're my child and your child were friends, because if I knew, this would not be the first time we were meeting, okay? I was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It gave me
And then the
racial
police-
undertones too, by the way.
It did.
I think that was the point, but I was like,
Oh, yeah.
ew, gross. I hate her character.
But see, the only reason why I was like questionable about it, in the sense like at the end of the movie, was that's the only moment
Right.
where her character, the dad, totally racist, but her, it was so odd, because they were like, we're gonna write her this way, and then they decided like maybe a day later that no, actually she's just gonna be the relatable one on that end. But then they never went back and fixed her writing.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, for sure.
I like how this entire episode is gonna be like, I shit on David Gordon Green and all his decisions.
Well, it's deserved.
Like, quite literally, I did not know he directed this movie until today. But B, if you've always heard me in the past episodes where I go, oh, don't listen to our Halloween trilogy episode because the episode sucks. I like how this is my payback. This is going to be entertaining, but I'm doing this because back then I tried to be nice.
Now the gloves are off.
I've survived Hellraiser. I contemplated the meaning of life for 3 months after Hellraiser while we went on our break. I'm back. I'm ruthless. Okay. They come back. There's a horse. Seriously, I'm just like, there's a horse. But quite literally, that's how it happens. There's just like a horse heaving on the ground.
Yeah.
And they're like, bring it a blankie, I guess.
Well, the girls did it, obviously, or at least the demon did. They find him in the barn. Oh, wow. They've been gone for 3 days, and they do a bunch of physical exams in the hospital, bunch of, tests and stuff like that. Applause to the hospital crew for taking this seriously, though. I do think that was good. They basically say they were girls being girls. They got lost. They were scared, and that's it.
They got scared for 3 days and ended up, I remember this specifically.
30 miles.
30 miles.
Yeah.
Yep. Why is this the stuff we can recall? 30 miles.
They said it multiple times. And then...
Also, what is with this movie? Because you and I both hated it. Fingernails. Or just the nails in general.
God, I hate it. So this movie, if you haven't watched it yet and we're just spoiling it for you, it has like toe and fingernail removal. So if that grosses you out, please don't watch this movie. There's a lot of it.
It's gross.
It's bad.
It's not as bad as the last movie.
No,
the
I
last
agree.
one was repulsive.
Ugh, God, I get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
I think the worst thing was the last movie, it was repulsive, but like back then, that was normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like now, seeing the nails get torn off, we know that's still fucked up. Like, in today, it's like, no, that's disgusting. Back then, that was like, well, blood's gonna squirt, I guess. Crazy. Either way, the children are like...
They're acting weird in the hospital, too. They're, like, connected.
Yes. My favorite part is when the baby's crying, and then Angela slams the glass, and the baby shuts the fuck up.
Yeah, and she kind of, like, breaks the glass. It's great.
And the nurse, this is where you see her return, like her story arc change. She's no longer angry neighbor who's angry about garbage cans, and she's now like concerned neighbor and who's so happy that this child was on the hospital list because that meant they found her. That was her character. That was literally it. That was like the entire conversation. Oh, and all parents are like, well, just tell us what happened. We won't be angry. Which, like, we've all been children. We've all been fed that line. We've all fell for it once.
And then never again.
Once. Never again. And then the children go home. And when I say the children, I just mean we only see Angela. Catherine's kind of there too, I guess.
Hers is more in the church, and then shit goes south from there. That's pretty much it for her.
I mean, I get it. One of the children had acting experience. The other one, this was their first time. I get why you would want to maybe have Catherine have less screen time. Turns out you actually ended up getting someone good.
Yeah, I really have no complaints on either of these kids. I think they did a phenomenal job.
Honestly, that was the only thing we were saying throughout this entire movie was like, this movie sucks. The children are good, though.
Yeah, they really were.
Which, it's usually the other way around. It's usually like, usually in another movie, we would be like, the character that Leslie Odom Jr. played and Jennifer Nettles played were good, and the children sucked, but these two kind of kept it going.
It was the opposite. Yeah.
It was like, Jennifer Nettles was not bad, but she was a non-factor. Leslie Odom Jr.'s character had no Leslie Odom Jr., the actor, had no chemistry with anybody.
No expression either. There was hardly any expressions going on in his face.
Also, he like almost kills 5 people driving to the hospital.
Yeah. I just want to say, I mean, let's just skip a bunch of this. The church scene was good. I thought that was good.
But we have to talk about Angela first.
I know. Let me just get that over with. Her acting was really, really good in it. And the creepy factor. It was just plain creepy. That's it. That's all we needed. Angela's was pretty creepy too, but more. That was like. Is it bad to say it was a little bit more comedic?
The way it was, I will say, I know they tried to shoot this movie to be scary. This movie, the way it was shot, and
I thought
the
it was
way
just me.
That they hung on the shots once it was all over.
Trying to be creepy, but it was just comedic.
It was very comedic.
Okay, thank you.
There were moments, because there were multiple moments in this movie, and this was one of them, so you are right, where I was like, are they trying to be funny?
But they definitely weren't. With the light switch, that whole sequence of scenes, it was pretty funny.
So, the light switch scene in a vacuum, just that night scene, was actually creepy. Right. That was a good scene.
Right.
Next day, when we get to the bathroom, and he's like starting the
tub,
the tub and everything, that's when we get super comedic. Also, when he's talking to Angela at night, this falls into one of the issues I hate about the movie, and I know you noted it. Like, you were the one who was very vocal about it when we were watching the movie. But she sees the demon Angela, like, behind him.
Oh, the Insidious moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was atrocious.
The reason it was atrocious was we know what it's from. You can't do that scene again and try to be original. But like you said, this guy's just a copycat.
And also, this is a Blumhouse movie, and
good point.
You know, Jason Blum was a producer, so he was probably just like,
throw this.
He was like, oh, let me suck the producer's dick a little, and like, you know, even though this movie is gonna suck, he'll definitely let me direct the other two. And then this movie, you know what was funny? You remember this movie and how it got delayed?
Yeah.
By a week. Because of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I get why now. Because Taylor, if this came out the same week as Taylor would have exorcised this movie. By the way, you know what? Let's just take a quick aside, because I just have a genuine question. Do you think the people who made this movie, and when I say the people who made this movie, I don't mean the actors, I mean Blumhouse, David Gordon Green, like the directors, producers, all the people that have like say over the creative. Do you think when they saw this movie in the final product and everything, do you think they thought it was good?
No. I think I would fucking hope not. I think they were like, you know what? This is what we got. Edit it a little bit here and there, and we're just going to throw it to the wind. People are going to go put their asses in the seats and watch this.
That's why
there were no horror movies out at this time. From what I remember, I think this was the only contender.
I think Five Nights came out a few weeks later.
But on streaming.
No, it was in theaters too.
It was?
It made a lot of money in theaters.
Okay.
It made like maybe I think it was like 200, 300 million.
Okay. But that's it.
I believe Five Nights is like the best Blumhouse movie to ever come out.
Right? 2?
That I can remember.
Right.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much competition. You know.
But think about that. Blumhouse put 2 movies out in the same month. One, I'll acknowledge it because we watched Five Nights.
Right.
We did watch Five Nights. It was okay. It wasn't great.
It was fine.
It wasn't bad, but like we had fun.
Yeah.
We appreciated the Jim Henson puppets, which how can you not? But that movie knew what it was. It kind of had like this kind of form of market appeal. The best I can describe that movie, it was children horror.
Yes.
I get it though, because if you know the franchise,
yeah,
it's on brand. And so it made a lot of money. This movie, you were doomed, because if you know Blumhouse makes cheap horror. Cheap horror. Like 10 mil horror. This movie was made with a 30 mil budget, which means this movie's already 3 times what like they're used to. But this is not their forte.
No. It's
Exorcist is serious. Exorcist is very methodical.
Dramatic.
Exorcist is dramatic. Name a Blumhouse movie that's not Sinister. Sinister is an outlier in all the Blumhouse portfolio. The original one.
Yeah.
Second one sucks, but the original Sinister it's incredibly scary.
Yes, it is. I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
This movie made no sense to be at Blumhouse.
I think also maybe the director choice was the wrong choice.
I think they looked at it and they were like, oh, well, he remade another horror franchise.
Let's give him this, yeah.
Yeah, it was successful. It went down over time.
It does.
You know, it was
normal,
successful.
But yeah.
Let's put him in it. And then I think this one, everyone was just like... But at the same time, Halloween's easier. Halloween's a slasher. There's forgiveness in slasher. Even if you go back and like you listen to episodes where we watch slashers, we're very forgiving.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We understand there is a bar.
And then slashers are more for entertainment, not for a serious scare factor like the Exorcist franchise.
And this movie was so good, we just went on like how long of a tangent not talking about the movie, actually. Mm-hmm. We have not talked about the movie. We were just talking about circumstances outside the movie because I find probably the process in creating this movie more interesting about how we got to this point. That says something about the movie.
I mean, the only thing I want to do is skip to the actual exorcism. Everything else.
It was written on Zoom. They wrote the movie on Zoom.
You know what? That's fine. It was during COVID. I'll give them a pass on that.
Okay, so
let's just skip.
I'm just gonna zip zap real quick because we do have some cool stuff. Just a little bit. Either way, Angela pees her bed, goes in the bathroom. We get like a gross oil coming out of the bathtub.
Gross.
And then she attacks him with the scarf.
Correct.
And then she has a seizure.
Right.
She gets taken to the hospital and is frantic. Cut to nighttime. Oh, sorry. We talked about up next is the church. Church is done. Cut to nighttime. The nurse is with Angela. And whatever demonic force is possessing Angela talks to the nurse about stuff she's never talked about before, about the whole...
She was going to be a nun at the
Yes.
convent, Sister Mary Xavier, and she had to step down because she had an abortion. She never told anybody.
Yep.
This leads
And
the nurse to freak out. She gives Carol's book to Victor, her father, and she gives him a whole speech and everything, and Victor goes to visit Carol.
correct. That's basically the entire thing.
That's it.
There's like a little bit of a montage that to get us there, but can we talk about the other comedic thing? Talk about comedy. When the children are missing, and Victor goes home and the door's open.
Oh yeah.
And there's just a whole ass fucking seance in his bedroom.
Yeah, that was strange.
And his neighbor's just like, what? I just want to help.
Not that this is intrusive or anything.
Like, at all. At least close the door, dude.
Yeah, really.
Goddamn. All right, we go to Chris. Chris is like, something traumatic happened, and I wrote a book.
That's hilarious. I called her Carol probably this entire episode. I apologize. It's definitely Chris.
Yeah. She's like, I wrote a book. And then my daughter hated me because my daughter couldn't remember anything, and I just wrote an entire fucking story about shit she can't remember. Also, my favorite line she says is like, well, the reason why I don't think I was allowed in the room is because of the patriarchy. And I was like...
Yeah, that was a big bummer. I was like, this was a line.
This was definitely written by men.
Yeah, 100%. We're like, no, it's because you're the mother of the person
the
possessed.
child. And you were going to have been easily tricked.
Absolutely.
Especially back then.
Oh, yeah.
If you were almost tricked now...
Yeah.
You would have easily been tricked back then. You were in your sunglasses phase back then. But I was like, that line was written by men for women.
Oh yeah, or what they thought for women. This is what women want.
#allies. It's like when you read a book and a man writes a woman. And he's like, and her boobies were so giant and milky. And it's like, I can tell you're typing this exact scene with one hand right now. It's that. It was such a one line.
It stuck out like a sore thumb.
But this is the scene in the movie I really did not like. Because Victor says something. Sorry, she says something to Victor. And then Victor looks at her for maybe half a second. And she's like, you don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either. It's like, I've never seen someone give a monotonous villain monologue as a protagonist. But I've seen it today. It was so bad. She just went on forever and ever.
And see,
it's like 5 minutes of talking.
And it's
exclusively her.
It's not Ellen's fault. And I hope people can understand that. It's the writing and the directing that's the issue here.
And also, I get this was shot during COVID. She was older back then. She's still older.
It's not like she's Benjamin Button or some shit.
She was old. She was most at risk. They probably had to shoot everything in like just a giant bubble. It probably like in 2 days. Like they probably gave her 2 to 3 days to shoot shit. And I get that. But you can cut her lines. Yeah. You can cut parts of her out of the movie. Because here's the thing. Just like Jennifer Nettles' character, Chris is a non-factor.
Right.
You could have had anybody else go up to Catherine's room. It did not have to be Chris. And that shows the importance of that character. If I go, you could have had any random Joe Schmo from off the street just go into that room and perform the same actions. And
the reason that they tried to justify putting Chris up in that room was the demonic possession saying, we can let you know where Reagan is. And then they tell her that Reagan's dead, apparently. I don't remember hearing that, but whatever.
The thing that made me laugh, I was like in my head, I was like, please say it. But like when you're like, the only thing that like got her into that room, I was like, was it because she wrote a book? Like, that was her
Gail
thing.
Weathers.
She is not. She is not Gail Weathers, author of the Woodsboro Murders by Gail Weathers. All right. Also, you know your book is iconic when even years after we watched that series, I can still, without even hesitating and without stuttering, say that book name. And it's a mouthful.
It really is.
Either way.
They fucking
They go
blind,
visit Angela
They
first.
blind Chris. That's what happens, and it's terrible.
I mean, listen, she got the crap beat out of her in the last movie. I'm pretty sure if she went one more day, she would have been blinded.
Yeah, good point.
Her face got fucked up in that last movie. Either way, first things first, we now have to rip off the first movie in another way. We have to go to a mental hospital. For no apparent fucking reason, just to be like, oh, I guess you should put your daughter in here.
Well, he
And
does.
it's bam, non-factor.
He does end up putting his daughter there.
That is true. But for us, the viewer, for less than a minute
Yeah,
of screen time.
Good point.
She's in there. She does Reagan with her fingernails.
Right.
And then Chris is like, you said there were two. Where's the other one? And Victor's like, she's at her own house. And she was like, yeah, keeping them apart is not a smart idea.
Yeah, and also at home is not a good idea either. And then we have
Exactly.
the whole scene with the house and everything.
And then they go home and the house is fucked. The dad's like I don't know where the fuck the dad is, but the dad's like,
The kids are cowering
sinned.
in the corner with the mom.
and I'm like, mom knows what she's doing. Mom's like, protect the children. Dad's just like in the corner in the living room, just like, this is our fault? Question mark. Chris
Well-
goes upstairs alone.
Yeah, we went over that. It basically, this whole
Yeah.
thing leads us to
However, I do love the scene where the demon, whoever is possessing Catherine, perfectly recreates what happens when Reagan got possessed about the make it stop, like where she was like going
was
back
great.
and forth. Because I was like, oh, mind games, love it.
yeah, and it worked.
It did.
Again, I just want to point out the girl who played Catherine. Her acting was really good, really good.
But you're right. Chris gets her eyes stabbed out by a cross.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we were watching that movie, I was like, please don't do with the cross what you did with the last movie with the
Yeah,
cross,
I was
because I
scared
can't
about that
watch it
too.
again. And they didn't. She just
Yeah.
goes to sleep. I was
Yeah.
like, thank God. By the way, at this official moment of the movie, Chris is, bam, non-factor.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, God. And then, I can't remember a whole bunch of what goes on now, because all I remember next is Victor goes to the cemetery where he meets the woman from before. She was the one doing the ritual in the house.
Yes, the shamaness type of person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
They
she
basically-
is the smartest person in this entire fucking
Oh yeah,
movie.
she says the one line of basic alchemy is if you take something, you have to give something, and that's the
Yep.
whole plot of this movie. Whether it be the mom and Angela, whether it be the two girls at the end during the exorcism, what have you.
By the way, I just want to say one thing to you real quickly. The synopsis for this movie on Wikipedia is 9 paragraphs.
Oh my god. Basically, everything leads up to them assembling the Avengers. We get the shamaness, we get the pastor, we get the priest, kind of.
You want to talk about BAM non-factors? The priest.
Yeah, he's a scared little bitch who
Well,
tries.
they go to the Catholic Church like 3 minutes before this.
Yeah, and they're like, yo, exorcism, and they're like, nah, son, this doesn't.
I do like that.
constitute.
Because when that happened, you said while we were watching the movie, I hate how they're gonna fucking just in the Catholic Church. It's gonna be like, cool, let's do a fucking exorcism, I guess, because
Yeah.
it's like so easy to get.
Which it's not. It's extremely,
Exactly.
extremely hard to get the okay for an exorcism. So I was scared. And then Father shows up and he's like, yeah, no, they said no. And then he cowers in his
Oh.
car.
She is a root work healer.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
So
Also, Stuart, the preacher. I know in your eyes, you saw Stuart. You saw
Sure.
Stuart.
Star.
In my eyes, Stuart.
Star.
Stuart, what are you doing here?
Are you gonna exercise this little girl, Stuart?
You saw Stuart. All I saw. Oh.
Was
All I
Jiminy
saw was
fucking
Jiminy
Cricket.
Cricket from Once Upon a Time. I was just like, Jiminy, what are you doing here? This is staying over your head. You just talk about making wishes on stars. Now you have to fucking deal with this shit.
They assemble the Avengers in the house. They get the
Led
living
by
room.
Stuart.
They get the, I mean, not the living room. They get the kitchen all set up. They bolt the chairs into the ground, and they get the girls there. Can we just do the exorcism and get this over with?
Yes, except just one thing real quick. Talk about, remember, like, towards the beginning of this breakdown, I was talking about, like, how camera shots made no fucking sense in this movie when it came to zooming and, like, focusing and stuff. This was the one that annoyed me the most. Because they zoom in, you would think, with how they, like, zoomed in to specifically focus on this fucking medication, that it would have been used in the exorcism.
At all.
Do you want to know when it was used? Off screen, when they go, we put them under.
Are you for real?
When they go, oh yeah,
Oh
we
yeah,
put the
they're
girls
asleep
under.
now. You're right.
Yeah, it was used. They spent an entire camera shot focusing on this medication, and it's used off screen. You know what you could have told me? Oh, we put her under with some medication.
Yeah, we got the sedatives. They're down now.
Yeah. You wasted literally like a 20-second camera shot.
He's so
on that.
infuriating as a director.
Oh. All right, start the exorcism.
Yeah. So the priest
Shit hits the fan quick.
The priest dips out. He's like, yeah, they said no, so I can't do it. Anne, you were a almost nun. You're good to go. Here's my book.
And
Deuces.
here's the issue. These demons already fucked with Anne mentally.
100%.
They were like, you had it. He was like, you know, you're also a child of God. And in her head, she's like, she's like, yeah, you're right. In my head, I'm like, you had an abortion. These demons are going to use that hard against you.
Absolutely.
And they have a great one-liner.
Yes. Then the root worker comes. She's all about business. She's fucking got everything down. She's getting everything down. She's got the tub going. She's got everything going. She is the most on fucking point. And then we have Jiminy fucking Cricket with the parents. That's it.
I love how like the parents are like, this is so hard. This is so stressful. Stuart, help us.
The only thing I can appreciate with Jiminy Cricket was his aggression towards the demons, which is very on point for that type of pastor.
And the fact that like he was the only one in the fucking room that was like, that it lies.
Yeah, it's
like,
fucking lying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We start it, and our nurse starts reading from the Bible. And at first I was like, is this in the Bible? Because this shit
I didn't recognize it at all.
At all.
She was doing the Roman rites, so
yeah,
I get it.
And then the demons are like, abortion.
Whore of God. Boom.
How's that feel?
Mic drop.
And she's like, shut up. Stop it.
She cracked immediately. Immediately.
I know. You called in the Avengers and you fucking sent in Hawkeye first. That's what this basically was. They send her in, and she's like, and then they're like, oh, what? Did the power of Christ compel you?
That was hilarious.
I'm like, you know what, demons, you earned that one.
I loved it. I was like, please someone say it. And the demon said it. I was like, oh, love it.
And they go away. By the way, I just want to say, the root work healer, she's like, everyone wear this fucking necklace.
Yeah, protect yourself.
And do not touch them. She's the one who said don't touch them.
Yeah. Yeah.
She gave all the instructions. And all of a sudden
She
this
did.
nurse is like, I'm gonna oversee this.
Yeah.
Shit hits the fan. She starts crying in the corner. And then the root work healer's like,
got this.
okay.
My turn.
My turn. She goes to the bedroom. Well, first, everyone has a breakdown because nothing's working. And then she goes to the bedroom. Sorry, to the bathroom. Gets the like the rose water she was like kind of making. Puts the bowls down. And starts doing it. And then she does Ezekiel. Mm-hmm. And somehow everyone was able to piece together what she was doing, which was like kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool because they're all from the same branch.
Yeah. However, my favorite part was right away. She's like, they're like, what are you doing to her? She's like, vinegar. And I was like, oh, you ain't playing.
No,
they were
she
like,
ain't playing.
we have some magic water. And she's like, no, this shit's going to burn. Literally. And does it. And right away,
it's working.
the demons are scared because they're like, oh, God, they have power.
She has the cheat codes.
Oh, fuck, they do have a Captain America. Shit! And she's doing it. And who is the demon that kind of does... Okay, Catherine's demon's the one that vomits a heart.
Yeah.
But the parents are like, what is she doing? To our baby. And she's just like, vinegar. And she sprays it. And my favorite part is she puts the vinegar on Catherine's face, and you see the upside down cross.
Yeah. Start
Plus.
to emerge. Yeah.
But by the way, I guess we should note this: when the last thing failed, they had the crosses appear on their head, upside down. That was when it was put on them, and they do the heartbeats are in tandem. They do the drip drop. Here we are, and then all of a sudden. This scene, I'm not going to lie. When this started, like when our doctor took the screen and took the time and like started taking control of everything, for around 2 minutes, I was actually into the movie.
100%. When the root worker was doing her thing, and I was like, yes, let's go. I was rooting for her, no pun intended. The demon smoke comes out of them. It looks horrible, but she's
then I died.
Like, huh?
That was when, like, I was hooked for those like 2 minutes before the smoke.
Yeah. Everything
she was doing, I was so hooked into it. And then the smoke came out, and it was so distracting.
It was.
And then she summons smoke, and the smoke starts basically like.
It's a cleansing smoke. I got it,
I
but
know,
it looked bad.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Do you know like when you watch Dragon Ball Z and they do like a key battle where the keys meet and they like focus back and forth? That's what it was just kind of that. However, she was cool because she's like, their bodies are heating up, and she goes to the fireplace, puts
alcohol.
a match, spits alcohol. She's like, poof,
and then
the smoke
fireball.
comes.
That was cool.
I was just like, can we remake this movie where she's the main character, please?
That's it.
In all honesty, if this was like the original Exorcist, she would have been the second story that they tell in tandem before they all finally meet. She would have been that story. She would have been a lot more interesting because even when she said, like, you know, what I learned is in order to go forward, sometimes you have to go back. I feel like that would have been an interesting story to see what was stopping her from going forward. And then this is the thing.
Absolutely. She would have been our Damien.
Yeah. It would have been great. Except, you know, Damien, like, she's like a Damien who knows what she's doing.
Right.
Like, she gets it.
She's a mix of both the priest from the first movie.
Yeah. But the smoke fights, and then the smoke kind of gets thrown into a bottle. The bowls. By the way, this woman right here, she's spraying vinegar on them, and she's like, none are going to touch the floor. They're all going to get in the bowl. And then she gives the thing to Victor, like the
bowl.
Demonic bowl is what I'll call it now. And she's like, just make sure you pour it to the east. And when she said the east, I was like, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got this. Everyone else in this room, shut the fuck up. Let her cook. Just let her cook.
Yeah.
But what they do is they don't. He goes out and pours his he does what he was supposed to do, pours the liquid in the sewer to the east. Did his job. And this fucking priest hasn't left.
He's scared shitless. His hands are shaking with his rosary and he's praying in his fucking car. I liked how Victor called him out though and said the fight's in there.
I wish he didn't. I wish he was like, fuck that dude, and just goes back inside.
Then
they start to do the next part.
Yeah, and it's not working.
Yes, because they let what's her name fucking do it again, the nurse.
Anne, yeah.
Yeah, like the root worker, she was cooking, and they're like, no, sidelines for you right now. Come back in like 20, and then the priest comes in and. The music is so jubilee.
They're like, this is our Hail Mary, our fucking literal savior's here. It was so stupid.
Jesus! And then the demons were like, you see that priest over there? You see him? You see him? Great, you're looking at him. Bam! Non-factor. He's dead.
He's a punk-ass bitch. And they just twist his head all around, and he dies. It was great.
Yep. And then... Well, okay... Quick thing. When the root worker was doing her whole thing, they got Catherine to break for a little bit. And this is why the demons are kind of scared of the root worker. B, Angela talks in demonic voice. Catherine doesn't talk in demonic voice that much for this next part, which is very jarring. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, they basically say, you got to choose. One lives, one dies. Say one of their names, like just choose. But the best part was that Stillart was able, within 0.5 seconds, was able to call this thing out on its bullshit.
100%.
He knew exactly what it was doing. And I think that I will say he was stupid for not... Okay, I get it. But he was stupid for not saying what the deception was. Because the deception was obviously whoever's name you say is the one who gets killed.
I mean, he could have just not understood that. I wouldn't expect him to understand that. But he understood that it was a lie. Which I wish they listened to. But in the heat of the moment, I get it.
Or there is another thing this could have meant at the end.
Right.
There's two ways this could go.
This also harkens back to what the root worker said, is that you have to give when you need to take.
And we have Victor, who's not... He makes a choice right there. He's like, well, I'm not doing this.
This is also
and Jennifer Nettles is like, no.
This is also where we find out that he actually chose his wife over the daughter.
Yes. This was, I will acknowledge, a pretty interesting twist.
Correct.
Because, you don't, like, Victor doesn't have much ground to stand on after that. And the thing was, you can kind of tell he knows he doesn't have much ground to stand on here. He's like, yeah, I did choose my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And Jennifer Nettles is like, we're not choosing.
Yeah. Well,
which
Victor
I
says
will
it
give.
First.
Yes, I think Jennifer Nettles tells it through her face.
Yes.
Like
yes,
she's
yes,
like,
yes.
I'm not doing this. Also, I just want to say, I hated her costumes until she had like the tank top at the end.
Yeah, same.
I like the tank top outfit.
It looked good.
But I also, this is where I'm like, outside of the initial meeting of her, I didn't hate her character.
No. She was the more understanding of that couple.
Oh, and Tiny Feet is just in the corner in another room, just in the fetal position still.
Yeah.
Some shit starts to happen. And their heartbeats start to break apart, is what I remember. And then the father decides, I choose Catherine. And you could tell Jennifer Nell's character was like, what the fuck did you just say, dude?
Yeah, that's not cool, dude.
Hence is why I believe at the end of the movie where we do like that final montage, she divorced his ass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she definitely
She
did.
left his ass. You know what, girl? Good for you. However, here we go with more shitty visual effects. Our Victoria starts to get... Wait, sorry, not Victoria. I just put Victoria and Angela together and got Victoria. Angela basically... Oh, by the way, at this point, Victor has given the scarf back to Angela and apologized. And that's what breaks Angela out.
Correct.
Like, for a brief second, she breaks out. The heartbeats, they desync. And for a second, you believe that Angela's going to die. And she starts to get... And I'm going to say this in air quotes for people, because I know, you can't see us. Lifted into the air. She's like 2 inches into the air. The camera shot is ugly.
It's god-awful.
It is ugly. Ugly is one of the most ugly camera shots I have ever seen while watching.
It's not even because of post-production. The actual camera shots are just atrocious.
And she vomits on the ceiling, and she creates a demon portal. Summoning the demons.
This is
montage.
You know what? Now thinking about it, this is perfect for Hellraiser.
Exactly. It's like, you know what? This show, here's the thing. We already hate Hellraiser, so we're going in right knowing this is probably not going to be good. But it works. And then Catherine comes back for a second, and they both flatline. Mm-hmm. And Catherine wakes up in the tunnel. And she gets dragged to hell.
Yeah.
By a group of demons. Hey. And we see them. And then
that visually
Angela,
looks good, by the way.
It did.
Yeah.
Angela comes back. And the pastor's like, called it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally what his face was.
And then the root work healer. Everyone's like, we're going to bring her back. We're going to bring her back. And she walks to the candle. She's like...
She snuffs it out, yeah.
It's over. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And we get a... we get an ending movie monologue. Like it's... Have you ever watched like one of the coming-of-age teenage rom-coms?
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, it's like the end of the year. Everyone's graduating. And you see where everyone's going.
Very 16 Candles.
Yes, very. It's that. Except it's just like, the devil wants you to give up on life. But God doesn't. Actually, there's the entire synopsis of her entire fucking speech. But you get a little things of like what's going on in everyone's life. Jennifer Nettles has obviously divorced her fucking husband. Mm-hmm. Honestly, my favorite part of the movie. I was like, yes, leave his ass. And then Angela's in school. Literally, that's kind of the shot. She's just like in school.
And she looks at Catherine's seat. It's empty, and she's a little sad about it. That's it.
Yeah, it's like the whole speech is like, devil bad, God good. It takes time to heal. Sometimes it takes some people longer to heal. I'm like, wow. Did you get this from a fortune cookie?
The only nice part was seeing Reagan and Chris finally meet again.
Fun fact, that was the first thing they shot for this movie.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, very nice.
Also, earlier in the movie, this makes no fucking sense, by the way. And the thing is, knowing this guy, I know he probably thought he was being like very smart with it, but they read from Alice through the looking glass.
Yeah, I know he thought his pretentious ass was like, oh, look at what I'm gonna do. Oh, it's gonna be like a little Easter egg.
Literally every time we watch something, the scarf appeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that scarf's going to play something. That whole line about, you have to get something, you have to give something. I noted while we were watching the movie, I'm like, okay, that's going to play into the ending because that one was very heavy-handed. It's like he thinks he's being so smart, and you and I are, and like literally while they were happening, you and I were calling out what the exact lines and what exact like props were going to be in this end scene.
We're both just shaking our heads. We're just fucking over this.
Also, by this time, we made a bet. I just want to say, proud of Paige. Paige was like, we are going to not start The Exorcist until 30 minutes until the end of the movie because they're not original and they're just going to follow the same exact steps as the first. And she was right.
Thank you very much.
She was 100% right. Also, the entire time we were watching this movie, and the thing was, it was even bad because like at the end of the movie, we started saying it like a bunch. But we were both saying nonstop, this movie sucks.
Yeah, I was like, this is so boring.
It was not good.
Let's do a combined movie roundup because I think we have the same fucking thought. It's boring. It's unoriginal. I would say we're just going to reiterate. The only good things were the remix of the theme song, the kids. Those were the only good things.
And the rootwork healer.
It was nice to see Chris, too.
And Stuart, but just for his name.
Yeah, just for his name, because it's hilarious. Other than that, very flat. Very, 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 very flat.
If I had to explain this movie, like what my feelings were and like how I left this movie and like what I was thinking like the minute we finished this movie and everything, quite literally my initial reaction to this movie was why?
Yeah.
Like every question was, why did you make these camera choices? Why did you write it like this? Why is this character in the movie? Why is this a plot point? Why does this movie exist? Why? And the thing is, because the thing is, this is the closest thing we've had to Hellraiser Bloodlines. This is like the closest thing. But when we left Hellraiser Bloodlines, we had no hope for life. We gave up. Like quite literally, 20 minutes into that movie, we gave up. And after we recorded, we gave up. This movie, and that was the thing, I was tired, I was worn out, I was broken. Like that was how I left Hellraiser Bloodlines. I just left this movie kind of pissed.
I left this frustrated and pissed at the same time. That's it.
Yeah. Because it's like, you have The Exorcist.
You have such an iconic franchise, so much to work with. There's so many Exorcist movies that have based themselves off of the original Exorcist where you could have dabbled from all of these little things. And you didn't.
And I'm not saying
lazy fuck. That's what it was.
I'm not saying this was going to be, because like quite literally, the first 10 out of 10 across the board movie we ever gave was The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you were ever going to be The Exorcist.
No.
Because you can't be.
You could have at least been a 7.5.
That was the way I was getting it. Like, at best, you could have gotten this to like a 7.
Yeah. I'm giving it a 1. And the 1 is for the kids that knocked it out of the park. It's all you.
Yeah. Part of me wants to, like in my heart, it's like, oh, well, you should give it a 3 because the people who were good really were good. But it's like,
I can't.
I
won't ever even suggest this movie to anybody.
And this movie's gonna get a fucking sequel.
Yeah, fuck that, man.
What's the jumping off point? Because the thing was, if you're creating a trilogy, you need a jump off point at the end of the first to get to the second. Where the fuck is the jump off point for this?
They even closed everyone's storylines. Everyone's doing their own thing. That's the whole fucking point. Whatever. I'm over it. What's our next movie?
This was episode 47. So our next movie is another pair of. It's another pair.
Okay.
Our next movie's X.
Yes, we're going to be starting Pearl and X. The first one being X, correct?
Yes, because X is the first one that came out. Pearl is technically a prequel to X. But Pearl focuses on the old couple in X when they were super young. That's
Okay.
why.
Okay.
So upon watching Pearl, you're going to understand why they made certain character choices in X.
Okay. So
I feel like if we watched Pearl first,
would give it
you'll
away.
watch X and you'll be like, "Oh, that makes sense." And like, yeah, I get it. But I think watching them in the order they came out, you'd probably be like, "Oh, that's why she did that in the last movie." So I think we'll watch it in that release order.
cool. All right. So please join us next time for X, the movie.
The Return of Jenna Ortega.
Let's go.
Also, I think the girl from Pitch Perfect, the blonde head,
Okay.
I think she's in it too.
Okay. Well, please join us for that. We're sorry we were kind of a bummer for this one, but it was kind of out of our hands. You can find us
Booty cheeks.
You can find us as Movie and Haunt on YouTube and Spotify. So please drop us a line. Come say hi, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Violent people killed, not a sign of a human